It's kind of fun around the holidays because we get to see some people that we haven't seen in a while, so it's great to see the Webbers back here. Yay! They're usually in a nice, sunny place. Welcome! And Hillary, it's great to have you here. Love it. So it's just great. I love just seeing everybody. So yay, yay, yay. So obviously, in a few short days, and Pat, yes, we're going to be welcoming in the year 2016. I think it's a great idea. Let's take another circle around the sun, and a few more after that would be good. A lot more after that would be good. And, we sing the song, should auld acquaintance be forgot, auld lang syne. And, that simply means time's gone by. And drink a cup of kindness yet for the times gone by. So we're looking at this past year with a sense of benevolence, with a sense of goodwill. And I know that for all of us, our experiences have been very different in the past year, and even just individually, there's been really great times, some tough times. There's been a lot that has happened throughout this past year, and yet what I do know is that who we are today compared to who we were January of this year, we are a much more expanded version of who we were then. And sometimes I look at experiences in life, and you think about, I could never get through that, and yet you do, and you're still breathing, and you're still here, and eventually you find that you can take that breath and move forward and go on. And so it has been a mix. So as we move into the new year, as is our normal thing, we think about our New Year's resolutions, things that we want to change, things that we want to let go. So the very first thing that I want to invite us to do is to know that as we are right now, we are enough. That we are wonderful as we are. So I'm going to invite us to say that last line there, I am what I am, and what I am is wonderful, okay? So together, I am what I am, and what I am is wonderful. Because it is so important to love and appreciate who you are, where you are, because it's in the aspects of ourselves that where we think somehow we're not good enough, or we're not doing things good enough, that we're not just loving our entire being. And it doesn't mean that we don't want to reach for more, but I think it's really, really, really important to love ourselves right where we are. So try to keep that as your mantra. So we look at things that we want to see different about our lives, and so I want to tell you the top 10 New Year's resolutions that people make most every year. Things like losing weight and getting fit, quit smoking, learn something new, eat healthier and diet, get out of debt and save money, spend more time with family, travel to new places, be less stressed, volunteer, and drink less. Those are the top 10. And these are wonderful, and they're admirable goals. And what I've noticed in life is that, because I mean, it's always a thing where people are saying, this is my New Year's resolution. This is what I'm going to do different for the new year. And I actually see some people that maintain that, and they actually step into it and they do it. And but what I see most of the time is that we have really good intention, and we have all of this energy going, I'm going to do this, and we jump into it, and then life happens. And with time, a lot of times, those New Year's resolutions kind of wane. And again, sometimes I think that we set ourselves up to feel bad about ourselves. And I'm not saying don't make New Year's resolutions, but I'm going to offer something a little different today, because I think it's so important that we stay in that place of really loving and appreciating ourselves, and not setting ourselves up to put ourselves down or make ourselves feel like we're a failure. So in thinking about this, I got to thinking about that instead of focusing so much on what it is that we need to do in the new year, perhaps we could shift a little bit look at maybe what we might want to let go of in the new year. And I'll get more into what that means as we go along here. I love this quote that says, "Today is your day to let go of things that no longer serve you." Huge for us, things that no longer serve us. So last year, it's not even 2016 yet. This year, we've been talking about some of Jesus's parables. And one of the parables that I want to share today is from Matthew 13:44, where he says, "The kingdom of heaven is like a treasure hidden in a field, which a man found and covered up. Then in his joy, he goes and sells all that he has, and he buys that field." And so the man, when he sees that treasure, he willingly sells all that he has. And what this represents for us is that when we really get into and discovering the treasure that we are ready to give up anything that is in the way of its greatest expression. And we are joyfully willing to give those things, emotions, habits, persons, places, things up. Because we so desire the treasure. And I love this. There was a quote that I read. It said, "Are you living the life that wants to live through you?" I love that. Are you living the life that really wants to live through you? Good question, huh? So the late Reverend Eric Butterworth, from his book Discover the Power Within You, says, he did not say that. Wait a second. Let me see if I put that somewhere else. Da, 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 da. Nope. Okay, so I'm just going to read it to you because he didn't say that. So don't read that one yet. He says that the hope of mankind today lies in the great undiscovered depths within. The time is at hand when men everywhere must forsake the fruitless search of the world at the circumference of being and embark upon a courageous quest into inner space, because it really is a courageous quest. And when I look sometimes at some of our New Year's resolutions, like, some of them that have more to do, say, with our physicality, not necessarily because we want to be healthier, but because we think we need to look better for some reason. Or sometimes, to me, that's the circumference of the world. Because the reality, my friends, is when we really start going within and we really start recognizing who and what we are, that inner beauty just reveals itself in ways that are surprising. And, that's just kind of one example of, you don't necessarily have to set an intention to lose weight because you just want to look better. You can just move within and discover that treasure within you. And again, love yourself as you are, where you are. Okay, now this, I don't know if this actually came from him or if it came from this other book by Jane Dunlap called Exploring Inner Space. But it says, "The history of man on the eternal quest has been a strange odyssey. In his search for the Holy Grail, man has looked everywhere and in vain, but he has failed to look within himself. Occasionally, a prophet came, telling of the world within, but instead of following him into the deeper experience, man invariably made a god of the prophet, worshipped him, and built monuments to him. They then trapped themselves in a religious practice that had no within." Interesting, huh? And even just this entire thing, because I think that what we need to be reminded of all the time, because we forget it throughout our day, is to bring that within out and to remember that God is everywhere present. And how many times do you feel like you go throughout a day and you haven't even thought of that one time? We jump up out of bed and we just get into our day and we go to work, or we're going to do this and that and this and that, and we get home at night and we get in bed. And if you look through your day, how many times were you actually conscious to really tap into that and to know that in various people and in various situations? I often call that I feel sometimes like I jump out of bed and I leave my spirit, my soul in bed. My body jumps out and it's like, oh, I'm going to take care of this day. And I know that my days go a lot better when I bring my whole being with me. And so it's just important that we start really looking within on a regular basis. Now, the book that was written called Exploring Inner Space, Jane Dunlap, she said, and so this is, she was looking at the experience of people that were using drugs like LSD and stuff I think it was in the 60s. And she said, people, and okay, so I just want to say here, I don't recommend it. It's not what this is about. They're just not good for you to use, But here's what she said. People who had such experiences usually agreed that deep within each of us lie goodness unimagined, wisdom, music, talents of every variety, joy, peace, humility, love, and spirituality. Hidden away in each individual is a vast gold mine, but as yet, only a few puny and thread-like veins have been discovered. Our fault lies not in our lack of talent or potentials, but in our refusal to believe that it even exists. Only after we can accept such a belief and have thus gained enough confidence to look within ourselves can our development go full steam ahead. And I thought that was interesting, but in our refusal to really believe that it does exist, that all of that is within us, and all of that goodness and that beauty and the wisdom and the talent and, everything really that we need lies right here within us. And do we really, truly, and I want to move it from believe, do we know that? Do we know that? Because the reality, my friends, is if we truly, absolutely knew it, nothing could disturb the calm peace of our souls. Nothing could. And that's a place to. And I think that probably what happens in our lives, and you can tell me if this is what happens in your life, there's, sometimes when I'm really in my center, and man, I'm calm in everything. And then there's other times when, I forget everything. And I go into my humanness. You guys ever do that? Yeah? So it's not so much a place to achieve, to get. It's something that we get to experience at various times in our lives. But I can tell you 100%, I think you'd agree, that when I'm in that place where, the peace that passes all understanding, it feels pretty doggone good, doesn't it? It does. And we can get there more and more and more as we make it our commitment to go in more and more and more, to remember more and more and more, to study whatever it's going to take to really bring that to a greater realization within our being, so that when something comes up, even if at first we're like thrown off, bam, we're coming back and going, oh, wait a second, because I can see this differently, because I know that God is in the midst of it. Okay, so this next book, a friend of mine gave this to me really a couple of years ago, and I've kind of read it slowly, and it's an incredibly beautiful, beautiful book. I love Sue Monk Kidd's work anyway, but this is kind of her story. It's called When the Heart Waits. So I want to share with you some of the things that she says in her book, because I think it really relates to us. And so she's talking about herself, first person here. She says, now oddly, I could feel the intimations of an unknown woman locked away inside of me who wanted life and breath, who wanted to shed what wasn't real and vital and recover that which was. I felt the vibrations of a deeper, authentic self who wanted to live out her own unique vision of individuality and embrace her own mystery. Who was this self inside of me who cried out to be? Is it possible that I'm being summoned from some deep and holy place within? Am I being asked to enter a new passage in the spiritual life, the journey from the false self to the true self? Am I being asked to dismantle old masks and patterns and unfold a deeper, more authentic self, the one God created me to be? Am I being compelled to disturb my inner universe in quest of the undiscovered being who clamors from within? Good questions, huh? Because I really believe that we are given opportunities all the time to either stand in our authenticity of who we know ourselves to be, to stand in spiritual integrity with what we know about the greater realm of life, the greater truth. We're being given those opportunities, but we don't always do that, do we? And why don't we? Number one thing, why? Fear. We're afraid of being judged. We're afraid of being disregarded or made fun of or even outcast. And so what we do is we put on the masks. And we show up as we think people need us to show up in order for them to be okay. Can you ever make another person okay? Ever? No. The answer to that question is 100% no. You can never make another person okay. And so whether you show up as you think they need you to show up or not, you're not making them okay. Because they have to find their okayness within themselves. The only person that you can make okay is you. And if you walk away from a situation and you feel really like, oh my God, I totally gave up who I am, then that's a time just to take a look at it. And take time with it. I want to encourage you to take time with that. To step back and think about it, write about it, talk about it with someone that you trust, and think about how could I have done that differently? How would I do that differently the next time? And here's the thing about being, bringing this authentic beingness forth, this Christed being, is that it's scary sometimes. It's scary. And so once our little heart starts to go, whoa, and the blood rushes to our head, we're just like, oh, I don't want to do this. But every time that you just step out that little bit, every time that you step out that little bit, every time you step out that little bit more, you realize I didn't die. I didn't die. I mean, really, that's because you feel like that sometimes. Like, oh my God, I'm going to die if I have to express this or be this or say this. And then you go, I'm okay. And you're expanded because of it. Because you shed a little bit of what isn't you in order to express who you really are. And then as you keep doing that, it becomes easier. And it becomes easier. And it becomes easier. But if we just stand back and allow that fear to never let us do it, to never let us move into that, we are going to be, it's like a spiritual discontent. It's something within our beingness that just cries out because I want to be who I am. And so sometimes we have to allow ourselves to go through those crunchy places. We have to allow other people, whatever their reactions are going to be to us and about us. We have to find a way to be okay with the fact that somebody may not like me. Somebody may not even want to be around me because I'm being true to what I know that I am and that life is and that God is and possibilities and all of that. But each time you do it, it's going to get easier. And what I know, and I can tell you this from my own life experience because that was my journey, is that to finally be at a place where to be able to just be authentic, it's such a freedom. It's an incredible freedom. And I still have to work with it. But boy, I'm so different than I was. But I had to let myself go through that. I had to let myself be in that fear. Sometimes, here's one of the things I would do. Sometimes if I had to have a conversation with somebody and I was really nervous about it, I would write it out on 3x5 cards. And I would take it in and I would say, I need these cards right now to be able to share with you what I'm feeling. And it kept me on track. And so because once the blood goes to your brain, you can't think. So you have the words written down there. I used anything that I could just so that I could be more authentic in my expression. And so, you'll find ways, things will come to you and how to be more authentic in that. Okay, Meister Eckhart, who was a 13th, 14th century mystic, he calls the God within us the true seed. I love that, the true seed. It's our God self, it's our Christ self, it's our authentic beingness. And he said, there is something in the soul which is only God. God has sowed his image. He sows the seed of the divine nature. The seed of God is in us. If the seed had a good, wise, and industrious cultivator, it would thrive and grow up into God. Isn't that great? We all have everything we need in us to grow up into God. That's pretty awesome, isn't it? And who's the one who's going to cultivate and nurture and nourish? Yes. Yes. I can't point here because that's only for me. Yes. We are the ones who are going to nourish that. Okay, so I'm just going to move on here too. What are some of the things that we might be looking at that we could let go of as we move into the new year that are not our authentic beingness? So it could be things, obviously old programming, beliefs of lack, relationships. Sometimes we have to, and it doesn't mean you're going to go right out and let go of a relationship, but when you know that a relationship is no longer working for you, anybody ever been in a relationship and stayed in it way beyond? When you know it isn't working for you, all you have to do is move into that place of trusting and knowing that you will know when the time is to let go of it. Because you will. So some of the things, I'm going to just go through these really quick. Some of the things that we could possibly think about letting go of that are not our true reality: fear, shame, guilt, remorse, regret, lack, not enoughness, a sense of that, unworthiness, sadness, depression, illness, unbelief, disappointment, victim consciousness, smallness, neediness, addiction, weakness, procrastination, worry, perfectionism, blame, negativity, resentment, unforgiveness. And I'm going to tell you these last two, resentment and unforgiveness, I think these are one of the hardest ones for us. And I will definitely be doing a talk on forgiveness and release because it is absolutely important. But when you look at any of these things, are any of these things your reality with the capital R? Any of these things? None of them are our reality with a capital R. They're just all things, these masks that we have put on there, these things that we have taken on, that we have, believed about ourselves, or that we have taken on about, I should feel shameful. And then even like personality traits, things like the pleaser, or the perfectionist, the procrastinator, the rebel, the good girl, good boy, the overachiever, the weak one, personality traits. And so what I would suggest with this is just to kind of take a look and think about, what is it that I believe is maybe the one or maybe the two things in my experience that are keeping me from really being who I have come here to be. And I am willing to let go of whatever that is, because it's no longer serving me. And so if it's fear, sometimes anger can keep somebody from being who they really are. If it's resentment, if it's a sense of just a not feeling deserving of it, whatever it is. And you know what? All that you have to do, all you have to do? Here I am, God. I don't know how to do this, but I know that I am ready. I am ready to let go of this shame. I am ready to let go of fear. I am ready to let go of a sense of not enoughness. I'm ready to let go of the belief that I'm a victim. I'm ready to let go of any anger or resentment that I have been carrying with me for all these years. I am ready to let go, and I want to let go. And remember the little trick that if you can't believe that you want to let go, you can say, I want to let go. And here I am. Here I am. I'm an open vessel. Show me. Show me. And I think that's so important for us as we move into this new year, to remember we're not alone. To remember that there's this amazing help that is all around us and within us. And that we can ask, that we can open up our hearts and we can ask. You can get on your knees and ask. You can go out into nature and ask. You can sit wherever you are in any moment and say, God, here I am. Help me. Help me. And it will be there. And it will be there. The moment of surrender, that moment of surrender, you open up floodgates for the divine to move in and to move you. And I promise you that your life at this time in 2016 will be vastly different from your life today. That is 100% guarantee, 100% guarantee. So letting go. Okay, so I just want to leave you with a New Year's poem. And it's called Look for the Good, and it's by Joanna Fuke. In the new year, let's resolve to get less stressed, upset, anxious about things over which we have no control. Anybody ever get upset about things that you have no control over? Oh, yeah. I think that's when we're forgetting that God is in control. Let's have a narrower focus on our lives, loving and helping our family and friends. Let's have a bigger focus on that part. Making our community a better place to live to create peace and contentment. In the new year, let's resolve to pay less attention to depressing stories on TV, in magazines and newspapers, and on Facebook, and to stop focusing on what we want that we haven't got instead of appreciating the many blessings that we do have. And even right there, you know, one of the things that I'm doing for the new year with Facebook is I am going to blast it with positive things. Good news stories, positive things. That's what you're going to find on my Facebook page all the time. And I hope that you will share them because our world needs good news stories. In the new year, let's look for the good. We may have to search through a mess of negative media, but the good is there all around us. I wish for you a new year filled with good, engulfed in serenity and in happiness. And I wish for all of us that as we journey into this new year, that first of all, we love and accept and appreciate who we are, where we are right now, but that we make it our goal, our biggest commitment is to deepening our awareness of our Christ self, deepening our awareness of who and what we really are, and to bringing that into the greatest expression in our lives. Now, for next year, for each month of the year, we're going to be talking about the 12 powers. Now, the month is not going to focus just on that power, but we're going to bring in a power each month. And the 12 powers are connected to the disciples, and they're the 12 powers that Charles Fillmore looked at as being when we awaken these 12 powers, that we're really expressing our greatest Christed selves. And so we're going to be bringing that into expression more and more next year. So Happy New Year, everybody. Thank